What's going on, guys? Riley here from RP Productions, and today we're going to be reviewing this 2004 Mazda Miata. Now, this Miata is no normal Miata. This one has a Jackson Racing Supercharger on it that's pushing about 6 pounds of boost, and this one we have dynoed it, and it put down 154 to the rear wheels, which was on a dyno that was reading very low numbers, so really it's kind of safe to say that probably puts down about 170 to the wheel. 170 horsepower may not seem like a lot, but for a car that only weighs 2,200 pounds, that is a pretty good amount, and it's definitely enough to have fun with. 0 to 60 times come in right around 6 seconds, which is definitely enough to have fun with. So just doing a quick exterior walk around, you really can't tell any difference from this Miata versus a bone stock Miata, which is kind of the fun part about it, is that nobody expects to hear a supercharger whine coming from this little guy, but it's there. The rear tires on this car are some knockoff brand. They're 225 width, and the front tires are also some knockoff brand that are 205 width. So the tires are probably one of the weakest points of this car. They are pretty bad. They're really hard. The stock brakes, some aftermarket wheels that are 17s, which are pretty much too big for this car. So the owner plans to knock the wheel size down, get some better tires, and change out some suspension components, new brakes, and this thing's going to be a track-ready beast. Under the hood, you'll see the 1.8 liter inline 4-cylinder with the Jackson Racing Supercharger right over here on the side. So one thing we've always wondered is why they chose to use some type of sponge design for an air intake. That seems quite weird to pretty much everybody that has looked under here, but it works. But yeah, pretty much pretty close to stock looking engine bay, if you ignore the fact that over here it says Jackson Racing and right here it says Jackson Racing. So lucky for us, this is an LS model, which means it has the highly desirable 6-speed manual gearbox, which is a ton of fun to drive. It also has a leather interior and a 410 limited slip rear differential. The interior on this car is nothing to brag about, but it is, you know, pretty standard for 2004 Mazda quality. You got your basic radio, some gauges, obviously a steering wheel without any buttons, but it is pretty, it feels pretty right for the car. It's the right size, has the right steering weight. It is a lot of fun to drive. You've got your window switches here in the center console, which I always thought was a weird location for window switches, but hey, Mazda will do what Mazda wants to do. But yeah, now you've got a pretty good overview of it, so let's go ahead, hop in this bad boy, take it for a spin, and see how it drives. Well, in typical 2004 Mazda fashion, you got just a typical key, put your foot in on the clutch, find this little sucker, and she roars to life. Alright guys, well, setting off in the Mazda Miata, first thing you notice is obviously it's a convertible, which is great. It's a lot of fun to drive this car. This is a car I've actually spent quite a bit of time in just because my good buddy Frank owns it, who's been on the channel several times before, but it's really just a lot of fun in this car because it's so small, it's so nimble, it's just so unsuspecting that this thing would have a supercharger strapped on it. And yeah, you know, like I mentioned before, 170 horsepower, it's not a lot. It's really not. But for the car and for the weight of this car, it's enough to have a really good time. Well, I mentioned the power, so we might as well demonstrate. That was 20 miles per hour. So I don't know how well my facial expression showed that, but every time I do that in this car, I literally have so much fun in it. This is easily the most fun you can have in a car for around $6,000 or under. I mean, let's say you bought a bone stock Miata for $4,000, you slap this supercharger kit on there for $2,000 to $3,000, you're looking give or take around $6,000. This one we were lucky enough to come across at a dealership for $6,000. It has 56,000 miles on it. In 2004, it was a great deal. I mean, if Frank wanted to, he could probably turn around and flip this thing and make a pretty good amount of money off of it. But it is so much fun, and when you think about the price and how you're able to achieve this, I mean, pretty much anybody can go out and buy one of these. $6,000 for a car is very easily obtainable. If you wanted to make monthly payments on that, if you were struggling for money, they wouldn't be that much. It's really so much fun in this car. Mazda did a great job making these. Now, I don't want you thinking everything about this car is perfect, because that is very far from the truth. Number one, when you're driving a Mazda Miata, as sad as it is to say for all my Miata lovers out there, you don't get any respect from the general public while driving around. just on the way to do this review, driving down a road. I'm doing like a couple miles per hour over the speed limit, just cruising, and this F-150 just decides it'd be a great idea to pass me on a double yellow line and floor it past me. I was like, that's awesome. So we got up next to him at a red light and he looked over and he was laughing. I was like, Miata problems. Problem number 2 is that anytime you're hitting boost in this car, I don't know if this is a problem with just this car because of the torque since it's boosted, or if it's a problem with all Miatas, but this damn cup holder right here in the center console, when you floor it, it flies open, and it is the most annoying thing on earth. You're trying to sit over here and bang gears, and all of a sudden your elbow just comes banging into this dangling plastic thing. It's really annoying. I really hope the supercharger whine is coming out clear on the audio because it's so loud in person, and anytime you're next to somebody in this car and you floor it, everybody's face just goes from like la 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 to what is that? Why is that sound coming out of that Miata? So if you're wondering a little bit more about how the speed is on this car, think of it kind of like V6 Camaro speed, give or take. It's probably pretty close to that, but in a car that it's this small and this unsuspecting, like, it is quick for what it is. You have to at least admit that. So I would say that Miatas are probably one of the most oversaturated vehicles on YouTube just because they are so cheap and so much fun. Everybody's kind of found out about them and like, oh, that's a good formula. But it's for good reason. Like I said, it is a good formula. Everybody figured that out, and they're great cars to own and just mess around with. If you look around on YouTube, almost everybody on YouTube with the Miata that does some kind of Project Miata build or whatever, almost everybody slaps a turbo on these things. It's very rare for you to find somebody who's put a supercharger on it, which is why I think this one's more unique and more special in that aspect. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this review, the tires on this car are not that great, but the cornering ability on this car is still fantastic. So we're going to take this corner with a little bit of speed, nothing too crazy, but if you can tell, it corners so flat where it's just one of those cars, you don't have to brake when you approach a corner, you just keep going, and the car just does it effortlessly. Now here we go with the corner. And it's just so easy, like it's so effortless. Fun fact, Miatas are actually the most raced car in history, and it stands for good reason. Trying to do this damn review with a soft top is proving to be a little bit more challenging than I thought. I guess that's another subject I can touch on. If you're over, like I'm 5'11", my head sticks out the top of this sucker, so when I'm driving, my hair gets all kinds of messed up, so for that practicality reason, not the best. Especially on the highway, then it gets real messed up. One thing that will help you if you are taller is to remove the visors that were once up in this area. We just went ahead and just unscrewed them and problem solved there. Also, since this is a 2004 year model, this manual transmission has like no assistance whatsoever. I mean, everything is all completely up to you. If you are shifting gears and you don't shift fast enough, the car will, you know, bring it back down to idle basically. So you have to be more involved with this car as compared to modern manual transmissions that kind of have like synchros and stuff that keep it kind of as a assisted automated manual almost in 2016. And after driving this thing around for quite a bit, like we mess around with this thing a lot, especially if you follow me on my Snapchat, you'll see all of the stupid stuff that we do with this car. We have a great time. It's so much fun for the cheap amount of money you pay for such a great fun package. It really can't be beat. So there's my review on the Miata. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Frank, the owner. He can talk about what his mods are, but I'm gonna go ahead and sign it out now. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.
All right, so I'm in here. Let's show you how to properly bang gears in a boosted Miata. So I wanna do a little 15 roll and bye-bye. As Riley mentioned, the cornering ability in this car is fantastic. It's one thing I noticed when I got it. So mod-wise, I plan to go with a Megasport standalone ECU. I know how typical boosted Miata going with Megasport. It's great software. I can plug it in my computer. Standalone ECU give me the ability to tune it. It has an auto tune feature, so I don't have to bring it to a tuner. I can tune it myself. Just drive around and get a good data log for it. And it has this little timing chart that'll do all the timing for me and adjust it on the fly. And also we'll probably go with bigger injectors and get it ready for E85 or NOS. Haven't decided yet, but I'll probably go E85 route, being the fact there's a gas station that sells E85 down the street from my house. Rear tires, looking at Nitto NTO5s. Brakes, Willwood big brake kit. And then lastly, I was looking at the hard dog roll bar, the M2 with the double diagonal crossbars in the rear, so I can be able to fit my soft top or hard top on there because race car. Also, these cars are known for rolling over whenever they're racing. We're pretty much a Jeep. So given that fact, you can't race these cars on autocross or on a track. Every car, racetrack requires you to own a roll bar if you own a Miata. And for the most part, most other vehicles. Now we're gonna go to the important part of the review, and we're gonna go to McDonald's and get some food.
Alright, what can I get for you today?